When you look in the mirror, what do you see? A face, yes, but also yourself. That's who that face belongs to. That's what you think when you catch your own reflection. But who is that? Is it the same you from yesterday, from 5 years ago, from when you were a child? What makes it you? What makes it the same you? Is it your appearance, your character, your memories, your thoughts? Is it something in your body or in your mind? What if the answer is none of those? Welcome to this channel. Today we're going to look into ourselves. We will explore the biggest questions about the self, about identity. Are we really who we think we are? Do we even exist? And we'll find out that the answers might surprise us. Let's look deeper. Let's start with a quote from the Greek philosopher Heraclitus, who lived around 500 BCE. You cannot step into the same river twice. The water is constantly changing, and he used this image to describe change in general. But then later, other philosophers adopted his thought. They used it to argue that we cannot be the same people twice. We aren't the same people we were yesterday because since yesterday, we've had new experiences, new ideas. We've met new people. We've laughed more, cried more, learned more, changed more. If we consider how much we've changed between 20 and 30, how much our brains have changed between childhood and old age, we understand how much we change over time. The question is, if we keep changing, who are we at all? How can we make sense of this changing, flowing process that we call ourselves? The British philosopher David Hume took up this question in the 18th century, and he had an idea that shook philosophy and science. Hume looked for the self in our minds. But what he found was a theatre. Not a theatre with a director, an author, an actor who plays the role of the self. He found nothing but a stage. On this stage appeared fleeting perceptions, sensations, memories, thoughts. They came and disappeared. They entered and left the stage, but there was no one in the orchestra pit pulling the strings. There was no self directing the play, no one who could reflect on those thoughts and say, "Ah, yes, these are mine." Hume concluded that the self is just a bundle of perceptions, a collection of thoughts. It isn't constant, it isn't the same. The self is an illusion, at least that's how it seems. But that's not the end of the story, because we know that our memories aren't reliable. We can remember things one way today and completely differently tomorrow. And even worse, sometimes we can be sure that we remember something and only later find out that we actually didn't experience it. We confuse our imagination, our memory, our daydreams for reality. Our inner life seems chaotic. It seems unreliable. It seems anything but evidence of a stable self. So, does that mean we don't have one? Does that mean we don't exist? Neuroscience gives us a precise idea of what happens in our brains when we think. Every time we remember something, we have to recreate it in our heads. Every time we recall a past event, we imagine it. Our memories aren't stored in our brains like files in a computer. They're distributed throughout the brain. They're linked to other memories, to senses, emotions, people. Our memories depend on context. They depend on what we already know. We don't remember isolated facts, we remember stories. Our memories are interwoven with our beliefs, with our values, with who we think we are. And now let's get back to Hume's theatre. When we remember something, we bring something back onto the stage. It isn't the exact same perception, sensation, thought. It's our interpretation of it. It's our understanding of it. It's our way of giving meaning to it. When we remember our childhood, we bring back what we think we experienced, what we believe we felt, what we think we were. But was that really what happened? Was that really how we felt? Who's to say? Can we ever be sure? What we remember depends on who we are, on what we think we are. And that changes. We change. So again, the question is, who are we? Who is remembering? What is remembering? And the answer is, we don't know. And that brings us to a paradox because we are certain that we are. We are certain that we exist, and if we exist, we have rights, we have duties, we have responsibilities, we are moral agents, we are historical figures, we are political actors, we are subjects of knowledge, we are independent selves. But how can we be sure that we exist? How can we be sure that we are the same persons that we think we are? How can we trust ourselves? There's a simple test that can help us, the Chinese room thought experiment. Imagine a person locked in a room with boxes of Chinese characters, with instructions on how to manipulate those characters. This person doesn't understand any Chinese, but after a while, through manipulation of symbols, the person produces coherent sentences in Chinese. Someone outside the room thinks, "Hey, someone inside must be speaking Chinese." But that person is just manipulating symbols. He doesn't speak any Chinese. He doesn't understand any Chinese. He isn't a native speaker. This is how computers work. We feed them data. We feed them facts and figures. We train them with algorithms, and they produce responses based on the data they were trained with. Computers can memorize phone calls, chess moves, games, but are they really making those phone calls? Are they really playing those games? What if instead of the Chinese room experiment, we had a human being locked in a room and that person reads and writes Hamlet in English? Would we say that person understands Hamlet? That person understands the world Shakespeare lived in? Would we say that person understands human nature? Of course we would. So why would we say a computer can't do that? Why would we say a machine can't understand literature, history, society? Machines are just machines until they do something more, until they create, until they tell us more about ourselves. And this brings us back to the question of who we are. Who are you watching this video? Who are you thinking about what I'm saying? Who are you experiencing the video? Who are you writing comments? If you wrote a comment right now, what would it say? What would that comment reveal about you, your political views, your state of mind, your mood, your expectations, your fears? Your comment would tell us something about you. But what if someone else wrote it? What if someone else watched the video? What if they were the ones experiencing it? What if they were the ones who were thinking about what I'm saying? They might write a different comment. What would that comment reveal about them? About their personality, their background, their life story? Maybe a lot, maybe not much. But we would know something about them, and that's all we know about ourselves too. We can observe our actions, our reactions. We can listen to what we say, what we write. We can try to analyze our thoughts and feelings, but we can never get to the bottom of it. We can never get to the core of the self. There is no bottom. There is no core, there is no self. Welcome back. Now I have a question for you. When you meet a stranger, how do you begin the conversation? Do you ask about their name, their hometown, what they do for a living, what's interesting about them? Do you talk about yours or theirs? What if you met someone special, someone you feel a connection with? What would you talk about? What's important to you? What would you want to know about them? And in the middle of the conversation, what if you suddenly realize that the person in front of you doesn't exist? That this person is a robot, a super advanced AI, a chatbot programmed to seem like a person, a friend? Would you continue talking to that robot, chatbot? Would you tell it your hopes, your dreams, your frustrations, your disappointments? Would you tell it about yourself? Who are you telling it to? Who are you telling it? This is what we talked about today, the story of the self, a story that changes every time it's told, every time we tell it. Thank you for being here and for your comments. See you next time.